Hello, this is a VOD of do it for Cameron has asked me to VOD this. So yeah, we're just gonna have a look at your team, see how it goes. Okay, so sorry, rambling a little bit. Yeah, so you're playing the Ram comp. Ram, even after the deaths, is still sort of viable. There is the sort of issues of he's still not as strong. He's a lot more killable. He's normally played sort of situationally, but if this is your comfort, that's fine enough. You go for the early TP onto point, which is good. Good. They don't play. Okay, they're actually playing the Tracer variant, so you've got that sort of the Sim TP, and they're also taking this side. So, um, just looking at like this map to begin with, because they're playing this Lucio Tracer, they want to play probably more around the, you know, this side, and they want to sort of surround you. Whereas your team, Symmetra, wants to play more point, leverage that Sim TP to sort of move onto their backline and just like live engages and force point. And you playing on point here is really strong for your team. We'll talk about retakes when we get to it. I mean, the Sim is really good for retakes, but we'll see how it goes. So Sim TP's on the exit, spamming down middle, all good. This is oh, okay. Reaper gets forced out actually. Let's go back and have a look at that real quick. Right, yeah. So I think that this initial play is it's not something you need to go for, right? So your team is leveraging point at the moment, and you've gone for this sort of aggressive TP play. So aggressive TP plays are good when your team wants to follow up with you, or you have someone who can follow up with you. But and you also drop as well, and you try and go for this early poke. So maybe even like this TP could be fine if you like hit here and then dropped when they pushed in, right? So that could have been something. And then so you would have gone like when their team was here, then you could have pushed in and sort of get this sort of pincer action. But you sort of drop early, which allows them to force you out, and then it allows them to get the kill. So all I would say there is to begin with, the team, sorry, I did a good job sort of leveraging point. They decided to go into this room here. And then Reaper, you can then look for an angle maybe around here and then look for a TP to backline when they've sort of either start pushing or even just play point, anchor point, make that touch really hard for them. What I'll say as well, if the enemy team comes this way and you've TP to point, you can then leverage sort of backup point sort of thing. So you can sort of leverage, so Ryan would play like here, your Kiri, your Sim would be, on maybe here as well, and then you can look for these TP plays to their backline, sending maybe your Ram, and then leave your Sim on point or something like that. But yeah, this is the sort of the best sort of scenarios, like stuff them in this choke basically.
The objective is now active.
So now you're playing this sort of disadvantage. You really kind of want to get point here, and you do manage to do that, which is good. Remember now, it's all about, they have to force into you, if that makes sense. So again, stuffing choke, and then when they push forward onto point, you can just play this half of the map. You don't have, you need to just be careful of the May wall, of course. But yeah, you're just leveraging point, leveraging that percentage. You want to play these slow fights where you get these multiple ram cycles, multiple get your Sim to high beam. That's how you win. You pocket the Sim. Yeah, so sort of Sim should not be dying. So like, if we just have a quick look back at this, right? So what happens, right? So the Ram uses the form. So Ram uses. So you got in these like Ram comps, you have the cycles of Ram form and then like down. So every time you use ram form, there's a spike. Every time you don't have ram form, there's a dip in your power levels. And then neutral, you have and then you use your ram form. Don't have ram form, neutral, sort of like that. So when you're on the spike, you can then use that aggressively to push in. But when you're on this dip, when your ram doesn't have form, you need to play a lot slower. So what you see here, this might be a communication issue, I'm not too sure. But you can see your ram sort of de-engaged because this ram form is ending, but your sim is engaging. And because of that, it allows basically their entire team to just look at the sim. And it just allows the sim to just die instantly. So 4 people looking at the sim. Yeah, okay, you've also made a swap onto Echo, which is fine. Yeah, they don't have any hit scans, so it's fine. Okay, now this is still just about stalling point. Playing, using another form. There's more faith into your backline, probably should try and punish that a little bit. Yeah, this is sort of now when it gets a bit messy, the fight, so... again though, your sim is nearly back in the fight, you just want to play for that. You're close to ults as well. Yeah, honestly, once you lose your sim there, it's really hard to hold because the sim is your frontline pressure onto that Rissa. You use your Annihilation, which... You get the trade onto... Yeah, I think you were losing that fight, and you've used Kitsu and Ramult. They did use their Cold and their Rissa, but I would say the Kitsu is a better ultimate. Like, it's fine trying to clutch there, but I don't know. You sort of at a big disadvantage. If we go back and we can sort of see the triggers here, so. Right, and also for the sim coming back from spawn, just play it safe, right? We just quickly look at this. Sim TPs directly onto point, where maybe instead the safer place is to TP onto a corner here, and then you can play this corner. Okay, you get the trait onto the Lucio, and then so it's actually a 4v4 at the moment, but like if your sim lives this, it was definitely winnable, right? Because she had high beam. And then if you were playing like this side of the map, your Kiri could have helped you as well. So if your sim lives there, it definitely would have been worth it. You could have definitely won that. May use cooldown as well. So like, yeah, it was definitely winnable. If your sim lives there, but you also get the May. Okay, let's look at the retakes now. You switch from Kiri to Ana. I would stake on the Kiri. The Kiri's definitely, unless it's a comfort thing, Kiri's definitely better. Okay. So just as I just want to take a moment to just pause here, just talk about the macro of comms. So I've talked a lot about the forcing of point and like leveraging your sim and leveraging your sort of your cycles. Most brawl compositions are good at doing 2 things. One is either forcing point or running something over. So what that means is, it basically means what running over basically means is you can like pick a target, someone on the enemy team, and you're basically guaranteed to kill them using your forms, TP, amp, Suzy, that sort of stuff, right? But normally after killing them, you've used your resources, and that's when you're vulnerable. So why I'm trying to explain these 2 sort of different we call them win conditions, basically things your team have to do to get to win. If you're anyone in that codes, it's like an if statement. If do this, you win, else you lose, sort of thing. And the enemy team will have their own set of win conditions. So let's say this was a dive composition. Let's say it's Lucio Kiri, Genji Tracer, Bull, right? You're playing into that composition, it's very hard for you to run anything over, right? It's very hard for you to catch anything. So you have to leverage your point. And then once you have point control, you can then go for like what we call like pokes, to like try and force stuff. Like let's say the Kiri's playing here, maybe you TP out, try and get some shots on the Kiri, but keep playing this point. Like you want to play point, that's how you win. Whereas their win condition is to have multiple sort of hits on you, which is sort of multiple dives from different angles and use your resources up. Okay, so we look at the retake here. So with your SimTP, you have a lot of options, but what I would say definitely is you need to be careful of two things. One is when you're playing against any form of boops, like a Lucio, you need to watch out for this. This Lucio could very easily boot your team, most of your team, into the, if he was like slightly further this way, into the pit. So like having set TP plays as a team is very good. So yeah, so like you have from this position here, I would even walk up a bit further, and from here you can TP to this point here, which means you can't be booped as easily. You have TP to here again. That can work, but I don't like normally. So let's say this is their core, right? TPing into the middle of them is not good because it basically means they have all the angles on you from like that. So you want to TP sort of into cover or into a place where you sort of want to get rid of the rotate. There's also a TP you can do, I believe, from here to here. Again, just care the boops, but or like to here, it can be quite effective. Another one is what you can do is you can walk down here and then TP onto point, which means you can't be booped at all. So yeah, this TP is very risky because that Lucio was very close to getting the boop on you. Again, okay. So we've spoken about that. We'll just go back to the yeah. So very risky TP. Okay, then when this happens, so again, we're sort of talking about the issue here again is your core got booped away and is sort of like walking backwards, and then your Ana and Sim are walking forwards. As a team, you need to, especially in Brawl, it's really important that together, like everyone's aggressive together and everyone backs up together. Otherwise, people can get caught out. So that's what happens here. Your Ana gets caught out on point by herself, and that leads to her becoming 1 HP and possibly dying. You have to beat to save her. Just talking about Mail, it does require line of sight. So if your ram was like here, they would have lived, but well, not lived, not been frozen. So yeah, you're already being put into this awkward position because your Ana's cooldowns were forced early, and then your B gets forced out even earlier, and it allows them to beat second. So I've already spent 30 minutes on this point, so we'll move on to another point. I've talked a bit about the TP rotates, what you want to do forcing point. Again, when you look for aggressive plays, that's when backline can walk up. Let's go to the next point. Gone on back onto the Reaper, that's fair enough. It's, they've used walls, that's their cycle done basically. Their wall is their main cycle. Again, right? So Reaper has TP'd in, and your ram has gone out, right? This is not what we want. When your Reaper TP's in, you want your ram to go, and you want your backline to swing. You want your Ana to throw an age. You want your Mei to hit a wall, so his wraith gets forced pretty much instantly. And you've used your cycle now. This is when you need to chill, wait for your next cycle. Reaper TPs into backline again, maybe a bit too aggressive, not full HP, and just kind of get things right. And then that TP is too far away for your team to sort of walk up, right? So maybe like a TP into cover, like here would be better, right? Or like TPing maybe onto the corner there. Yeah, the rest just kind of runs over you. Then just decides to run over back. And this is why Ana is not great in Brawl, is she's very prone to being run over, which is the sort of win condition they can play for. Because like your point presence is better with the Mei Reaper, but they have the ability to run over your backline with the Tracer, Mei Orisa. So that's something you need to be careful. Like knowing what the enemy's win condition allows you to like try and counter that win condition, right? It means your Ana needs to play a lot more mobile, changing positions a lot more, what we call like dynamic positioning. And also here it's sort of like you guys are, you don't want any of your abilities forced it, but okay. We walk out. They Maywall. You break Maywall. So yeah, I think again, sort of with they have Maywall, right? Going out of here is really risky, right? Because this is the easiest Maywall in the game to hit. You guys need to just help your mate break the wall. Also use your right clicks. It does a lot of damage. So instead, I would be looking for this rotate, because if they hit a wall here, you can either quickly rotate round right, or it's just a lot more, a lot more space and a lot more cover for your ram to play if he gets walled. Okay, next fight. He decides to go main now. Big ult advantage for the enemy team. You nearly got your ults. You can. This is going to be quite a messy one. So they've started with their Cole. What I would have preferred maybe is when your Reaper TP'd in is for you to go with, your all played slow for a nano and then go in with that. Again, your Ana's dying, right? So the reason your Ana's dying. Ooh. Sorry, my game is less lagged. There we go. Just for some reason I pressed the fucking screenshot bottom. Is she's too far up, right? So the Ana wants distance between her and the Orisa. So as soon as the Ana sees this Orisa going in, she needs to be walking out. But like you can already see it's too late, right? But if the Ana was back here, right, and allow the Ram to take the pressure of the Orisa, it means she has a longer way to go before she can like get onto the backline. So when you're playing Ana, distance is very important. Even playing other supports, playing distance from like ANOE Broad Tank is important, because once that Broad Tank is on top of you, it becomes very hard to sort of live. Okay, late beat, fine. Where's your Ana though? Okay. We'll just watch this one more time, right? So, ideally, what you would want is I know this is kind of, you probably die anyway, but you want your Ana to try and walk to point there, not backwards. I mean, to be fair, it baits the Orisa back, so I'm not too sad about it. It helps you win the fight. Okay, I'm not too mad about that, to be honest. That works. It allows your team to get the point. You leverage your auto advantage to get it. Yeah, you just need to get it quickly, which is what you do. And the Ana does. Also, Lucio should be taxing the Ana back from spawn, just as a small thing. Okay, you switch to the Moira now. A lot more survivable. You build your coalescence quite fast. You're sort of mirroring what they're on, so that's fine. Holding point here, good. I would be looking for. I don't know where my Mei is. Where is my Mei? I'd be maybe looking for a Mei wall here as they walk through. Try and get a hit here. Because you can see if that Mei wall lands, the Moira is just blocked off. And again, your Ram gets caught, right? So what happened there, again, is sort of like your Ram and Reaper are playing up, and it felt like your backline are playing back, right? So you're playing two different positions, right, where you want to take the fight. One, the Ram and the Reaper want to take the fight here, and your Mei, Moira, Lucio want to take the fight on point. So like in these brawl mirrors, you can definitely leverage what we call chokes, right? Especially with Mei and like Sim, right? You can like, these are your kill boxes, because they can only come from one place. They have to walk through here, and that's really good. Stuffing them in a choke is really good, especially for dive as well, right? It's like, imagine they're on Hazard, Lucio, Kiri, Genji. Setting a wall right here means you can melt that Hazard. Playing point is fine, but it becomes more even, right? So like leveraging your sort of Like defenders normally have an advantage, right? So leveraging your defenders, like the same thing here, right? So like wall here for the like enemy defending, they have like 3 angles on that wall position, whereas like you're coming out of 1 angle, right? Okay, so they use their mail. You try and mail out for space. Okay, you get the pick, so it's fine. Yeah. Come back up, whoop. It's just a messy fight, but it works out in your favor. But like that messy fight could have been avoided. Is my point. Now you're on a bull comp, which is sort of less optimal for your like more Lucio Reaper May. You know, it's like dive tank with a brawl composition. Again, here we're seeing the bull Reaper setting up for an earlier engage, but your May is playing really far away. If you want to do this, you want your May on a corner and go for that attack. I will say with the bull, it becomes a lot harder because it's like he wants to dive in, right? Oh, that was close. Very close. So now you've moved on to this sort of dive composition with your bull. You they have the point pressure now. They have that point pressure, so you want to be making sure they use their resources on the walk up to point. And it doesn't feel like you did. They still have pretty much all their resources. If we like have a look at their, he just used amp. He just used fortify. He still has orb. He has all his cooldowns, stuff like that, right? So like you want to use more of their resources on their walk up. You want to force a lot of their resources. So when they get to point, they become weak. Yeah, they just able to. Once then they have that ult advantage. Your Lucio is closest, but unfortunate there. And we can watch back how your Lucio died. Maybe see if we can avoid that. Yeah, so that's just a bit of sort of. You just walked out into open space and then just got collapsed on. So it's just about. If you're close to these ultimates, you need to make sure you play safe. If you're really close to loser ultimates, you just need to play for them. Take a slow fight. Play point. Your ball can get touched for ages. So again, this is where you could be looking for. Okay. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. I mean, I like the TP up here, but yeah, it's unfortunate. Right, so yeah, so the main thing I think you guys need to work on is this sort of communication around your pushes and your pulls. So it was like what I was saying, when your Reaper or Sim so your Ram's pushing in, then you can push in. But then when your Ram's used form, you need to play slower. You can't play aggressively. And then leverage, if you're playing the Sim comp, you can leverage point a lot. And then also your Sim TPs need to make sure of that. But I think just the main takeaway are these push and pulls with your cycles. Is the main thing. I've covered a lot here. Hopefully it all makes sense. If there's any questions, you can ask Gamago to send me a message. But yeah, we didn't really talk much about alt economy. That can maybe be for something that Gamago talks to you about another time. But yeah, at this point, just these sort of communication. These push and pulls are really around communication. So if you're the Ramatcha and you've used your form and you're backing up, tell your team that you're doing so. Tell your team, guys, play slow. I've used my form. Just play, don't push in. But then when you have your form, you could be like, guys, are you ready to push in? Be like, yeah, we can put, yeah, I'm ready to push in. And we, okay, 3, 2, 1, let's push. Amp in, Sim TP in, walk forward. And then So I don't want to see the Ana walking in when the Ram is walking out, or I don't want to see the Sim walking in when the Ram is walking out, or I don't want to see the Ram walking in when the Reaper is out. Like you want these pushes to be coherent, and like we have a term called stabilizing that a lot of people use, and that is when you've done your push, you want to stabilize, which means get your cooldowns back, get your HP back, get those like resources back before your next push. So I'll just maybe I can just quickly look at one more fight on this attack, because I do have 5 more minutes left for this half an hour VOD. Okay, is that the end? That's the end. Okay. Look at the last fight here. Switch to Bash and Reaper, right? Okay, fine. Again, maybe I would say here, right? At this point, Reaper TPs to this point, maybe. And when the Ram pushes in, he then pincers from behind, right? I don't mind Reaper going for these flank plays, but they just need to be in time with your team. Because again, they can now stuff you down this choke, right? Oh, he got booped off. Interesting. Yeah, so maybe again, like, don't switch the sim, or maybe you cross bridge, right? I definitely like bridge a lot more than this. The only time I like going this way is against dive, because then they can't shoot you as much. Because this way becomes a lot open for dive. But you just need to be careful when you're matching brawl and brawl. Like, they have more angles on you this way, and like even in brawl, angles are important. So maybe taking bridge here, getting that space, forcing them back to play this point. It's a lot easier to defend this way than it is this way. That's why like dive teams will take this way against a lot of brawl. And then yeah, you just sort of lose the fight because your Ram died. Yeah, okay, so maybe just think about rotates as well, but the main thing is the push and pulls. Hopefully I wasn't too rambly, sorry, it's just hopefully it all made sense. Alright, thank you for watching.